In this section, we are going to create the standby database. Previously, we added the hosts in Manage Hosts. So we added our primary and our standby host. Then after that, we created a configuration where we provided some information. And now we are going to use this configuration to create the standby database. So we're going to click on Create Standby Database. And now we are going to work with the configuration. It will now do some checks in the background, making sure that these hosts that the configuration consists of can talk to each other. It gets some information regarding the primary database, etc. So once it is happy with all the prerequisites and everything is good, it will give us the option to create a new standby database. We will click on New Database, and as you can see, it provides us with the Oracle database parameters from the primary side, and it also gives us the database size. So if your standby is not completely the same as your primary, then you'll be able to make some changes at this stage. For example, I'm using ASM on my primary and I'm going to use ASM on my standby as well. However, my data disk group is not called plus data on the standby side, but it's called plus data DR. So I'm going to click on this little pen to edit it and put in the actual correct name, and I'm going to click on it so that it accepts that change. My FRA is still the same, so no changes there. The rest of it looks good. Then it asks you if you want to use the new option of performing the backup, the transfer, and the restore operations in parallel. And if you had a look at the new features of version 9, this is one of the nice new features where we've sped up the CSD process. So what happens is a backup is created and it is done file by file. Once the first file has been completed, we will continue with a second file, but we'll also start the network transfer of the completed file. On the standby side again, once we are notified that the first file arrived, the restore process will begin. So this process will continue where files are being backed up, transferred when ready, and restored when available on the standby server. So we are going to make use of that. We're not using transportable media at this stage because my database is not that big. And then I provide location where the RMAN backup files will be put on the primary once the backup is done. And then also once the files have been transferred, also a location on the standby side. And at this stage, we click on Create Standby Database. At this stage, it opens up a task, and if you click on the task, you will get some information on the progress of this task. So at this stage, it is running a pre-flight check to make sure that everything is in order for the creation of the standby database to continue. Once the pre-flight check is done, it will start preparing the backup. It will back up all the data files and the standby control file. It will transfer those, and then it will also restore those.